Good evening, everyone.
Welcome, Dr. Ramesh.
Thank you so
Another
much.
speaker, Dr. Usha.
She didn't connect.
Usha Mina is not there.
No.
She is not yet in.
So she will join. Let us start because it's 2 o'clock now. I welcome all our panelists, Dr. Areendran, Dr. Ramesh, Dr. Joshi, Dr. Usha. This is, very important day. Very few people know tiger is so important, and during past 2 decades, basically, it has become more important due to several reasons. Areendran and Ramesh will focus on that, and they will highlight the reason for that, science of it, and eco science and social engineering, whatever you say, those aspects they will say. But I am glad to share that both these experts are very important for country, and I hold them on this panel for our students. So we are really lucky to have both of them on this very important day of Tigers Day. We never heard this day, but when I heard this, I thought School of Environmental Sciences, being, all kind of ecosystem environmental researchers working on several aspects, we should celebrate. We have ENVIS Center funded by Ministry of Environment and Forest Climate Change. So Swati is a program officer looking after all this. When she told me, immediately I thought of celebrating because it's in the benefit of the students. Decided. Then I contacted people, took several names. Then I got names of two Dhurandhar, very highly expert in this field. Professor Joshi told me, and I contacted. Probably they agreed. So I thought it's a successful. When we have the day celebration, half was successful, half today. I believe it will be successful with this. And I believe you have received the program of this. It's a 10-minute basically your talk, and then we will have question answer. So by 3 o'clock we will complete this day celebration. So without wasting time, let me introduce a brief introduction of our first panelist, Dr. Areendran Gopala. He is working with WWF, and no need of elaborated introduction. He is well known in this field, but now, because this is outside it's raining, so inside it's a tiger, outside roaring and roaring inside, okay? So this is very good combination of environment. I invite Areendran to talk about tigers and the importance of the day, and little about why it was started. Areendran, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome everyone, and thanks for this opportunity, and happy Tiger Day. Well, my discussion more will be towards us at WWF what we've been doing in towards the tiger conservation, and I guess Dr. Ramesh will be talking more into ecology, and he's a field person, so he will talk more into and he's as one of those scientists who has contributed the Panna tiger dislocation, I would say, and he can talk more detail on that. So let me go straight with a small presentation, basically 3 slides, which talk about what WWF does Pan India. I'll just share the screen.
Yes, please.
Just we're very much used to Zoom, and it's very
Zoom is very convenient. The best software is Zoom, I believe.
Sir, in fact, I'm doing a GIS class for Pan India ENVIS Center. First day I was trying to use a Google. Oh, it was terrible. So we just shifted to Google. Zoom.
This is not
so this
less provision. Please go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. So, just I will give a brief. This is 10 to 12 minutes I'll take. So, what we WWF do, Pan India. So, we have a presence, as you know, WWF is in the 50th year of our celebrations. Basically, it's an anniversary year in India, and we have a presence Pan India, right from north to south, east to west, and this is a map I would like to just share with all the audience. Our tiger efforts, our tiger conservation effort throughout Pan India. So if you look at in the north, we have this Tarayak landscape, and in the northeast we have the Brahmaputra. This is the northeastern part. We also work in Sundarbans. In the western India landscape, which is Rajasthan and a little bit of Madhya Pradesh, and in central India we work, which is called the Satpura Michael landscape, and down south we have the southwestern Nilgiris. So our main conservation aim is to maintain and restore tiger habitats and critical corridors. Being NGO, we also closely interact with the local communities, and we work closely with Forest Department also, and we also one of the active partner in the National Tiger Survey, especially in the National Tiger Survey. We contribute in that, and few places throughout Pan India. We closely work with Forest Department in the tiger estimate. So basically, our focus is on research and monitoring, mitigation mainly on the human-tiger conflict. Also, we have a strength in working with local communities, especially in the critical habitats of the corridors, convincing the people why important is a corridor, why and how it's going to help in establishing the tiger population between two protected areas or their migration, how it's very, very important. And also we deal with environment education, mainly the outreach with the local communities, Pan India. And we also help with policy advocacy and also support through the traffic. We have a traffic division within WWF, which deals with the wildlife crimes and all those things. Yeah. So now coming to the first landscape, which I would like to, let's keep the map sharing to you. So coming to the first landscape, which I would like to talk about is the Tarayak landscape. One second, I have some problem with my. Yeah, so Tarayak landscape, which is a north of covers the second state, Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Total area of roughly 50,000 square kilometers. 3 Indian states it covers. Around 646 tigers. We also have a good population here of elephants, rhinos, and 5 tiger reserves. But it has a very integrated agriculture mosaic. Over 13 national and state highways passing through 8 railway sections and 50 million human population. So this is the issues we face in this. So to address these issues, we closely work with the department, especially in and also with the locals in improving management and significantly reducing the poaching to secure population and priority species, maintain functionality of key corridors, and do a lot of other research work within these corridors. And with communities, we look into this, looking into the natural resources, maintaining and mainly in the critical habitats, and also we manage human-wildlife conflict to enable co-adaptation with the shared space between the human and the animal. We also facilitate in development infrastructure being planned and implemented in a manner that supports landscape integrity. So some of the other important work as a scientific point of view, we also do the security audit for tiger reserves as part of the WWF and with the NTCA. And we also work with the rhino, other than tigers, we also look into the rhino conservation in those areas. This is especially for the Tarayak. Within that also, if you look at in Rajaji, especially the Rajaji Western Circle and the Nandur Wildlife Sanctuary, Pilibhit, Dudhwa and Valmiki Tiger, we support the Forest Department, especially in the All India Tiger estimate. From 2010, the entire Tarayak we've been working with Forest Department, and also we have partnering in the phase 3 AIT monitoring in that is All India Tiger Estimate, Uttarakhand, UP, and Bihar. So these are our main activities, especially in this landscape. That's the Tarayark landscape. And also we are planning to do radio collars for tigers, elephants, all those in this human-dominated landscape. We also engage with one panchayat in Uttarakhand and for wildlife, human-wildlife conflict management. And also we have a program with the government of UP and Global Tiger Forum called Bagh Mitra program. And we work closely with the community and social enterprises, especially with the Taru tribes on handicrafts, and such as we also do training and capacity building, especially with these communities. And also with also we do some monitoring of prey habitats and farm wildlife assessment for human behavior. So this is the activities which we do for within the Tarayark landscape. And now coming to the next is Brahmaputra landscape, which is in the northeast of India. There, as you know, that Assam holds the largest tiger population in northeast India, and especially with the Kaziranga, which is almost 100 adults, they say, as per the estimate. So we closely work with the forest department here also, and especially the overall work is that we do help in mitigating the human-wildlife conflict. And other than that, also we do a lot of, other than tigers, we also engage in the elephant conflict management using Kunki elephants. Then coming to the northeast, we have another tiger reserve, the Manas Tiger Reserve, where once upon a time there used to be 80 tigers, but now it's a population now after 15 years it's coming back due to some political disturbance. We help there with a lot of infrastructure protection and training the local forest department in doing this census and other work. And within the Kaziranga, we also do river corridor monitoring, especially as per 2008 monitoring results. River islands provide shelter to more than 9 unique tiger individuals. So we help the department, we work closely with them in monitoring this population. Apart from that, other flag species like monarch rhinoceros and Asian elephant also we help in all the in the providing the support to the forest department in the name of protections, gear, and all the other supports. And also we exclusively work with the department monitoring the corridors between the Kaziranga and Karbi Anglong, which is a very sensitive corridors, and animals, when during the flooding, you must have seen these days, which from north to south, it starts moving using these corridors into the Karbi Anglong. So there, our activities, especially with the communities and the local, with the local population, local people there, we closely work with them in protecting these animals, as well as we support the department with all the infrastructures. And mainly our focus in Northeast is on the protection and support, and especially on the habitat restoration. And we also work closely with the other infrastructure department where we want to ensure the corridor connectivity. So this is to do with Kaziranga. Then comes in Sundarbans, another tiger country. In Sundarbans, we closely work with, again, forest department. In mainly what we do there is we provide local power grid using solar grids, which is also a deterrent for tiger. We facilitate the nylon-led fencing, and there is something called, we also provide smart cages to capture and transport stray tigers, build resilience through livelihood augmentation, and we build the capacity of frontline staff. And also other in the research, we do monitoring for the monitoring for estimate the tiger and its prey base. And also we look into the energy access low carbon solutions. This is another division which works in Sundarbans, where we clean energy access through power station, build climate resource centers. And within sustainable livelihood activity, we do aquaculture and agriculture using sustainable technology. Now coming to the Western India tiger landscape, which encompasses the Rajasthan state as well as the little bit of Madhya Pradesh, north of Madhya Pradesh, where we collaborate with Rajasthan Forest Department, especially for tiger recovery in Mukundra Hills, like providing infrastructure, radio telemetry, habitat and prey recovery. And we strengthen the management and effectiveness of Ramgarh and Keladev Wildlife Sanctuary. We work closely with the department in restoring Banas River corridor and and we closely work with them and for the further degradation and developing corridor management plan with the government of Rajasthan, and many other strategic support to Rajasthan Forest Department in tiger conservation in all the protected areas in Forest Division. We also help them with other technical support, and we also involved in the security audit of Ranthambore, Kaladev, Mukunda Hills, and Ramgarh, especially in MStrip and implementation of MStrip, which is a software for monitoring the prey base and the tiger monitoring, as well as and helping them in the restoring tiger habitat. Now, also we closely work there with the community-based conservation through NGOs and other partners in area between the Ranthambore and Keladev. Now, coming to the other next landscape is the Central India landscape, which is the Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and Maharashtra. This is around more than 15 lakh square kilometers, and the quite dense forest as a human population, as well as a good density of tigers are there. We closely, again, here also, we work closely with Forest Department, all the 3 state Forest Department in helping them in identifying, in restoring the corridors, and with also other than only typical, not only the wildlife conservation, we also closely work with Western Coalfield Limited, especially in addressing the mining issues which is happening in these corridors. We are closely working with almost 6,000 farmers engaging in organ cotton initiative to incentive against the land use change. So to restrict the land use change, and also the agriculture practice more and more changes induces issues with more and more human conflict. So we are closely working with the farmers in that area, and also multi-stakeholders, community institutions, state agencies, and other NGOs, and to especially effort in securing these corridors. And we also provide IRS, the scheme, and ensure that tigers using the corridor remaining unharmed. So this is a relief scheme. Basically, when a cattle is killed of a local, we provide some support in the form of money, so that they don't antagonize, or they don't kill, or they don't poach, or they don't poison the animal, especially the tiger. So this is one scheme which has been successfully last 10-15 years. We've been implementing various part of the country, and one of the monitoring. This is also a tiger TX2 sites we call. We want to double the tiger by 2022. We really close to work with Forest Department, especially in the monitoring the prey density and implementing other teams of Forest Departments, as well as in monitoring all India level tiger estimates, as well as implementing the MStrips. And we have a lot of engagement with the local stakeholders, especially with the local community. And some big win has been developed a comprehensive understanding of tiger prey status and priority recovery sites and functioning of key corridors, especially in the Central India. And also we built a lot of partnership across the landscape with the local communities. And we have trained more than 65 Forest Division and more than 300 staff last 4-5 years. And there are a lot of challenges also in these areas because of high population density. So we also address those issues as per the conservation norms. And we do other use technology, many technology, like we use live wire detectors, especially to detect those animals or any wildlife that get killed through the live wire. So we use this technology, which is actually developed in Atal Incubation Center, and we warn the locals, or we find in advance that they are not these live wires are not used, especially in the forest, in the wild areas where animals get electrocuted. So we support those, and we prevent the electrocution of animals. So these are, and also especially with the livestock kills, within one day we try and do the ex gratia payments. So that's one of our specialty from WWF-India in our various tiger landscapes. Now the last landscape, hello. The last landscape which I want to talk about is the Nilgiri landscape, which is southern part of India, which constitutes of the Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and Kerala part. Here, one of the main intervention in the, especially in the tiger conservation, is the interim relief scheme for livestock depredation. So which we do in Pandipur Tiger Reserve. We closely work with charitable trust there in down south. And other than that, our main focus here in Nilgiris is that we train and support forest division, especially in protection and various other technical training in supporting them and understanding how to run in conservation efforts, especially also technique as well as in protection in the protection side. We have trained more than around 2,000 frontline staff of Forest Department last 5 to almost 7-8 years, and we closely work with, especially with anti-poaching camps. So we support the department in building anti-poaching camps, and we also provide them with patrolling and water vehicles and field gears whenever the request comes through. So this is the overall WWF engagement with Pan India, with Forest Department and the local communities in the field of conservation of tigers. So I'd like to end here, and so I guess I could finish up in the given time. So this is the overall picture of what WWF do Pan India in tiger conservation. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Areendran. Wonderful, very new things for us because we are from different fields. But definitely, we have got question for you from Walid Khan. He said that how to solve problems like human-wildlife conflict in people living near their natural habitats.
1 second. Yeah. Can I? Some issue.
How to reduce conflict.
How to reduce? Well, I think Dr. Ramesh should answer this question. I have a very different opinions. I guess we can have a question and session in the end.
If you, Ramesh can also say a few words afterward. But now, I will switch over to Ramesh only, and then I have a small introduction here. Dr. Ramesh is a scientist in WII, Dehradun, and he is also adjunct professor, University of British Columbia, Vancouver, Canada. And he has done a lot of work on this, what called community and ecosystem, tiger, how to reduce this. Later on, after his talk, I request him to answer this query, and I request him to limit the time so that we can have proper time for discussion if queries are there. Dr. Ramesh, please.
So good afternoon. Thank you, sir, for the opportunity. Dr. Areendran, Dr. Joshi, and other panelists, my greetings. Before I start, I like to kind of compliment each one of you. Be a part of this system, and today we are celebrating Tiger Day. I'll start with where the whole issue started. It was in 2010 in St. Petersburg in Russia. There was a Tiger Summit in which all the 13 countries participated. I mean, all the heads of the institution, prime minister level meeting happened. So 2 important decisions were taken then. One of the decisions was to double the tiger number in the world. The second was to create an awareness about the tiger conservation across. See, in India, we've been better off in terms of knowing about it, but in other countries, it is not the case. So the Tiger Day celebration was actually launched from there in 2010. So that's been done. I think, as you would see, that is really, in fact, it has taken shape and so well. It is also meeting one of our international commitment under the Aichi target. So Aichi target under the Biodiversity Convention, basically also say that in order to increase youth participation in conservation, so we need to have them. So basically what you see here, the celebration, you should not see is like one of those events where people come together and that, they celebrate, but they have a local as well as international ramification. So therefore, we are now part of such an important event, which is kind of meeting our commitment to a national and international level. So talking about tiger, I think I might want to underscore these 2 points. Tiger is not just celebrated as a species; it is celebrated as a kind of a symbol of system. So I think many of us would agree that when we talk about India as a nation, tiger represents our nature. Taj Mahal represents the culture generally when we look at people coming from outside. That is what they see. I mean, if you ask any foreigners wanting to visit India, they would invariably mention that I like to see these 2 places in addition to many other things. So tiger as such is not a species-based conservation. Many of you may know why we talk about tiger means it's not just about tiger. It's a conservation of the entire system, except in places where it is not there. But even then, the message of conservation is taken far and loud by the species. Whatever Dr. Areendran mentioned about what WWF is doing, if you just think little more about action, these all link to the field-based requirements. So tiger as a species is evolved in a tropical system, and you can see that they are highly adaptable. But then this was also a species had huge kind of impact from the rulers. Rulers used to go after these animals and hunt in the past. There's several animals have been hunted down. The population from 100,000, more than 100,000 in maybe 100 years ago, not very long, the crash. So currently what people are talking about is that we are left with only 6% of the past range of tiger. Okay? So 6% is what we have. So you can imagine whatever the number that we have currently, it's only represents 6% of its historical range. Number 2, within the current global population, India has 70% population. It is something that we need to be very proud of. It talks about 2 things. One is India as a people and as a governance general, we have been very sensitive. While we may be having a lot of criticism about the way the environment is being managed, but with respect to the conservations, we have done pretty well. I mean, starting from Wildlife Protection Act, in 1972, and with the different governments backing it. So 70% of tiger means one calls for celebration. Number today, you must have also heard news that the tiger report has been released with a different number in each of the tiger reserves. But having the 70% also means that India has a great responsibility for global conservation. So we are doing it. So we are probably the front runner in tiger population. So a couple of events I might want to highlight. One of the event is the livelihood related issues, and which kind of indirectly allowed for population decline by being a mute spectator or being facilitating poaching. So that basically enabled crashing tiger population significantly in India. If you look at 1973, when we have tiger reserves, that was 73 April. First was the Project Tiger was launched. So then we had about 9 tiger reserves then. So in that 9 tiger reserves, we were about less than 1,000 tigers. Now we have 50 tiger reserves, over 3,000 tiger. So you can see the kind of management input that has gone into and the kind of recovery that we have done. The second is, I think ever since we lost tiger in Sariska was the first place where the entire population of tiger got wiped out by poaching. That kind of gave us a eye-opener. In fact, some of you, or if you have not read it, I would recommend that particular incident called for highest level of responses from the government, including the Prime Minister then, Mr. Manmohan Singh, had to travel to Ranthambore. He actually called for a serious inquiry. There we had a high-level committee formed under leadership of Sunita Narayan. There was an excellent report that is available in public domain. I would recommend all of you to read it if you really want to understand what plagues India in terms of nature conservation, what needed to be done in terms of how to address that. It is called Joining the Dots. It's very small report, but covers everything. The joining the dots also gave option for active recovery through reintroduction and National Tiger Conservation Authority. So birth of National Tiger Conservation Authority took place then. Since then, India has been doing a lot more. So we have been talking about tiger conservation, tiger reserves. Number of tiger reserves have been increased. The excellent monitoring system, probably global in nature, globally competing scientific protocol. The All India Tiger Population Estimation that has jointly been done by Wildlife Institute and National Tiger Conservation Authority, despite its criticism, loophole, but it is one aspect. Science has been institutionalized to the society. I mean, this has always been the case. Whenever we talk about science, it's an exclusive domain, but then its implication takes a different shape. But in this case, it has been institutionalized. And third one, use of technology. Large-scale use of technology is been taking place. And finally, now we are in a situation, tiger population has increased to an optimal level. Now we are looking at what might be the carrying capacity we need to maintain. And then look at more seriously in human conflict management, tiger management. So this leads us to the final strategy is called landscape approach to conservation, which Dr. Areendran already mentioned. So currently, National Wildlife Action Plan is just being initiated. One of the major chapters is landscape approach to wildlife management. So the landscape approach is essentially a shared vision, shared goal. It increases space in terms of the thematic aspects of conservation. It is not just a jurisdiction. You have tiger here, and there are other areas where connectivity and livelihood issues are linked. So government is very conscious, and many of us are participating in it. So currently we have space for, increasingly the civil society, citizenship, citizen science, citizen-based conservations are happening. So in a nutshell, what I like to say is that tiger represents a symbol of our nation, and the forest with tiger has life. We have seen it, personally and with the science. The kind of habitat integrity it provides by maintaining the prey and the herbivores and the way the system is structured. So tiger is an excellent species in terms of landscape understanding. I can tell you before I conclude with one statement, being a wildlife scientist, I worked largely in the mountains, Himalayas, before coming into the Tarai Arc and then to Central India. But the kind of learning tiger can provide by studying, it's humongous than comparing with many other species, because tiger is not just you're studying its behavior. Tiger brings politics, tiger brings livelihood, tiger brings it's competition. I think you understand the whole spectrum when you study tiger. Therefore, that is why you'll always be seeing in the conservation discourse, you will always see the guys or with the tiger background is leading the conservation discourse. Or the reason being, because of this whole holistic nature it brings there. Okay. Otherwise, I'm an expert of, say, pheasants, I'm an expert of so and so, but that's fine. You may be an expert providing those input on species conservation. But with tiger, because of its linkages with the different species, system, economics, livelihood, the culture, so it brings much more knowledge. That is why you see these kind of disproportionate representative people. So to me, the celebration is definitely an important one. And I like to thank again JNU and Joshi and the Dean for making me part of this. It's been a very heavy day for me because morning we finished it. I'm going to be having one more 3 o'clock. So I will be taking up questions later. And even otherwise also, I extend my offer. If anybody wanting to reach out to me, you feel free to email and call me. Thank you so much.
Okay, Kulshrestha ji.
So if he's not there, I'll probably quickly take that question about the conflict also.
Yeah, please.
I can do that. So I think human-wildlife conflict is something, it's not you can resolve it. I would say that human-wildlife conflict has to be managed, can't be resolved, because it happens with the two factors. There's something called pull factors and push factors. Pull factors are the one you made area outside more attractive for animal to come. Okay? And the push factor is you also make its own habitat into your own habitat. So the issue is not as simple as people think about human-wildlife conflict. It's much more complex, but it can only be solved by engaging communities and involving technology. So human-wildlife conflict has been there from the beginning. It's easy to resolve the conflict by killing the animal, which is what the forefathers have done it. But now we are in a conservation arena, managing human-wildlife conflict with the animal rights, human rights in place legally. So it's much more difficult to handle human-wildlife conflict. But then India is working on it. We have a National Wildlife Action Plan for human-wildlife conflict is being developed now by GIZ and the MoEF. And many of us, whether you directly or indirectly, you're all involved in human-wildlife conflict. Even JNU campus got so much of peafowl population. It might look like a coexistence, but I know many of the students might feel very irritated, but it's big. The conflict begins from the small area and it leads more problematic. There are options. I can discuss that separately, but detail. I just said it's a management strategy rather than solution-based strategies.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ramesh and Dr. Areendran.
I'd like to add to what Dr. Ramesh said, that also if you look at the figure now with the tiger population, every 1 out of third tiger is outside the protected areas. It's moving out. So, and also the change outside the land use change is happening so fast. Naturally, the human-animal conflict is going to increase in the coming future. There is no absolute solution to this. It has to be co-managed.
But there is another question. The government policy has auctioned, coal mines in the tiger reserve. How to make ecological balance? I'm sorry, my video was off, my mic was also, but I was speaking. I forgot to switch off.
No, yeah.
Ramesh.
So no problem. I think this particular question, this particular thing will always come up. It is not about mine. It's about many other things. So development will be, I think when you look at nation as a whole, conservation is also there, but development will also be there. So unfortunately, some of the resources which we need for our development are also located in the forest areas. This is where the conservation versus development dilemma comes in play. So one of the biggest problem here is
another question is, can the human conflict in Sundarban be reduced with employing protective soldiers casing the honey collector to escape tiger attacks?
It's already been reduced.
Yeah,
It's already been reduced. If you look at the data in the past, there's so many humans here.
In fact, it is. In WWF, we've been accounting for that, and we have found that last 5 to 7 years of effort with working with the honey collectors, and especially with the special gears, and the conflict has really gone down a lot. The people have been alert of now. Earlier, it used to be like they didn't understand much about it, but now much studies has been done, and there's a considerable reduction in the conflict, especially in Sundarban.
Very good, wonderful. That's why your efforts are, taking in a color. Very nice. Now, thank you very much for wonderful presentation and also the interpretation. Now, I request Professor Joshi to say a few words about the day, and I request him to take 5 minutes. Anyway, Usha, please 5 minutes after that, so that within time we finish. Professor Joshi, please. Professor Joshi, let me introduce. He is our colleague from the School of Environmental Sciences, working on ecology environment. He is a pan-India expert, and that's why we have kept him on this panel. So I welcome Professor Joshi.
Great, thank you very much. Good afternoon to all of you. First of all, let me welcome and thank you all for this gathering to celebrate Global Tiger Day 2020. I must thank Professor Kulshrestha and SES JNU-ENVIS team to organize this event. It is really nice to see SES being consistent in organizing, celebrating such events, and bringing experts to interact with our MSc, MPhil, and PhD students and colleagues. And as Dr. Ramesh mentioned, and this all started with St. Petersburg Declaration on Tiger Conservation. wherein doubling the number and creating the awareness has actually become very important. And it's great India could achieve goal much before of doubling the number, and we are in the Guinness World Record book, basically for the census which was carried out. So if you actually look at Tiger, Tiger has so many things to tell about. Something like what Dr. Areendran spoke, he was basically talking about primarily mapping the habitat of tiger or supporting the stakeholders of those. And Dr. Ramesh is much closer to that, and he actually gets very close to very closest possibility to the habitats to understand the tiger behavior. But I take a totally different view. I am more into what probably we can learn from tiger, and or generally people say living like a tiger. So it might sound like a joke, but believe me, tiger is such a wonderful species which gives us so much of lessons. That is probably the reason the entire set of Bollywood movies, those are full with dialogues related to Sher. You go to Rajkumar, you go to Sunny Deol, you go to Salman Khan or Ajay Devgan, they always keep talking about that. What is the reason for this? Probably tiger is such an important one that if we are able to secure the future of tigers, it is about so much more than just saving this iconic species. If tigers are thrive in wild, it is an indicator that entire ecosystem in which they are living and thriving to. That is what is good for entire set of wildlife, not only for this species, but entire range of species, and very much for human well-being and for the future of this blue planet. So there is lot many things which are linked with this. Ecologically, if we see, so we often see it as a top predator having fun of eating everything below its trophic level. But the point is, what makes it so comfortable, having the top position in food chain, food web, and that is what at times humans also wish. So if you try understanding tiger, it is the charismatic species which is merely 3 meter in length, 200 kilograms in weight. It has such an amazing ability to coexist, and that is the reason you are able to see it across the world in so many places. But it has a wonderful ability to coexist with humans all across Asia, particularly if you see where forest and villages meet. Tiger spend a day without, within hearing distance of human sounds or human voices. And the general thumb rule for it is, as long as there is plenty of protecting vegetation, there is wild prey, tigers are not disturbed or persecuted, they can live beside human beings invisibly and unnoticed. So that kind of presence is there, which we have seen. You see it in the hottest climate of Rajasthan, you see it in the steamy tidal mangrove swamps, and you also see it in mountains with pine, oak, birch woodlands, and far east Russia where temperature goes to minus 34. So that kind of agility is there to live in any of the conditions. Tiger can walk around 15 to 20 kilometers per day, and it all depends on availability of food and the degree of protection. But that is the kind of hard-working species which we are talking about. And it is very focused when it is getting into hunting kind of thing. It doesn't get detracted by any of the other kind of disturbances. And being very focused, it is able to actually match the requirement. So it has probably the highest order of plasticity when you look at its hunting skills and those kind of things. And there are landscapes wherein it get introduced, or the landscapes which get changed with snow cover and all. It simply follows the path of ungulates or even riverbeds. So it shows the kind of intelligence which it bears and the adaptive skills which are there. So, even all these things into account, overall, tiger, even which is people who very closely look into the behavior of this animal, there are not many learnings. In spite of being called as a Casanova, it teaches us many lessons of sustainable development or approaches to live in a sustainable manner. So, I can keep listing such wonderful learnings from this umbrella species, but I think, based on factual positions or ecological blend with wildlife behavior, the traits of tiger probably can bring out a tiger within all of us. And let us look at the tiger which is within you and behave as a wonderful species the way tiger actually behaves. So,
very good.
Say, live like a tiger, but let the tiger live as well. So, this is what I could say for 5 minutes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Joshi. Live like a tiger. The message is from Joshi, but the question asked by Soma is that Sundarban tiger are defamed as man-eaters. Why it is? Aren't these tigers provoked to become man-eaters? And where are these different psychologically, so they get irritable? Can somebody answer this?
Not at all. Probably Dr. Ramesh is the best person to answer this, but to little knowledge I have about it, unless you actually disturb this animal, it can reside very close to...
Dr. Ramesh, can you comment?
Yeah, I can. See, Sundarban tiger is basically, it's a kind of, we call them evolutionary significant unit. This very small size population, as compared to any tiger, it's the smallest one. It weighs more like a leopard and lives exclusively on the swamp. So the problem with the Sundarbans is the prey density is very low in general. Therefore, they really go for many prey, but the problem there is a lot of people go for fishing inside. It's a more to do with the people behavior than to do Sundarban. That is why earlier it was kind of nobody cared. When the forest management was not very active, people used to get killed very often. Then it was a kind of a blame, Sundarban tigers are all man-eater, but it's not the case. These animals were just looking for a prey, and these people just go and give them their own life. But ever since the department started intervening, like NGO, like the WWF, Dr. Ryan said, that's come down. But even if you go to Pilibhit, Tarai, there have been a lot of human kills. So it is totally situational and depends on, I've already studied also, human wildlife conflict, animals are able to manage. They are trying to avoid human. It's the human behavior that has been a major challenge.
Very good. Thank you very much. It's a human, yes, tiger is not irritable. Human makes its irritation. So that is the message. Very nice. Thank you very much, Dr. Ramesh, for replying this. Now I invite our colleague, Dr. Usha Mina, who is also looking after ecology, environment, air pollution, all these issues. And she is also co-coordinator of this ENVIS program funded by Ministry. Dr. Usha Mina, please.
Good afternoon, sir, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. And with this, at first, I want to pay my gratitude as well as compliments to all the individuals, including our today's speaker, Dr. G. Areendran and Dr. K. Ramesh Krishnamurthy, who have participated in fourth cycle of Tiger Census of India directly or indirectly, and as well as conducting the tiger conservation on grounds also. So they all, through their continuous and dedicated work, achieved the increase in the number of tigers population which we are seeing today. So Dr. Ramesh has told us that it is only 6% of the past, which I have calculated, and I think in the past we must have approximately 44,000 tigers population in India. So, but this tiger census has shown the world that how a nation is maintaining a balance between the development and environment. Yesterday, we have also conducted a webinar on World Nature Conservation. And today, in World Tiger Day celebration, it has been proved that India is playing a forefront role in the conservation activity of nature as well as the different species. And just to inform our audience, the tiger census was possible because of these persons, and they covered around 3.0 lakh square kilometer area and traversed around 5.2 square kilometer on foot. And in this, they have installed around 26,000 camera traps, which have captured around 3.5 lakh images. And out of those 3.5 lakh images, the total images of tigers are around 76,000. And then they have given a number that in 2018, we have around 2,967 number of tigers in India. So friends, tiger conservation is not only for the protection, for the sake of protection of tiger. As Professor Joshi has told, that tiger is an umbrella species. When we are doing the protection or conserving the tiger population, we are also conserving along with that the other species, because the habitat in which tigers were conserved, they are very big habitats. They are the reserve areas. And this reserve, tiger conservation and reserves, the other benefits which we are getting are that they help us in mitigating the climate change, as well as in mitigating other natural disasters like floods. And they are also ensuring the flow of ecosystem services to the humanity. And a study conducted by Indian Institute of Forest Management, Bhopal, they have conducted a study on around 6 tiger reserves, and around 25 ecosystems they have qualitatively as well as quantitatively accounted. And they given a number. They said that the study, the tiger reserves benefits resulting out of tiger reserve range from rupees 8.3 to 17.6 billion annually. And if we convert into per unit area, per unit year wise, then it is around 50,000. The range varies from 50,000 to around 2 lakh. And the ecosystem services are diverse, though they can be supporting, regulating, cultural, as well as all these things. So with this, though we have heard our experts, so it is very, this webinar was very learning experience for all of us. But since we have been an environmental sciences faculty or environmental sciences expertise, this shows that all of us are doing or contributing in one way or another, but we have to always go ahead and we have to give this conservation activities. Though in the tiger conservations, we do not contribute directly, but by generating the awareness, we can contributing it indirectly. And with this, I want to thank my dean, who is ENVIS coordinator, and through ENVIS, we are doing this activity, so we are thankful to MoEF&CC also. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Usha, Mina. Very new data you have presented for, and that is quite informative. And we have got very good compliments and comments by the audience. Very interesting, very nice. All the speakers, and now I request anybody having some question. Otherwise, I request Dr. Ms. Swati to propose a vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of entire JNU-ENVIS team, I propose word of thanks to our guest, Dr. G. Areendran, sir, Dr. K. Ramesh, sir, Professor and Dean and Coordinator, Professor Kulshrestha, sir, Professor P.K.Joshi, sir, and Dr. Usha Mina ma'am, for giving us a wonderful insight into tiger and its habitat and the conservation issues. The data and the numbers were very informative for us, and I hope all the students and the audience would have gained a lot of insight from this discussion and deliberations. And for this day, we had prepared a poster where we major species, subspecies of tiger we have portrayed. So I would request Ms. Sandhya, my colleague, if she can present that poster for e-release.
There is a poster, so the release, this is electronic release basically.
That's very interesting, very nice.
So we've tried to write for general awareness for school children and general people about the subspecies which are alive and the extinct species. So a short brief introduction about that.
Oh, this is beautiful, very beautiful. I think it's nicely done.
So it's released by our eminent panelist.
Yes,
very
yes,
nice.
Dr. G. Areendran and Dr. G. Ramesh would like e-release from their side.
Quite informative. It's quite informative, yeah.
And to all the participants also, I would like to thank for participating through Google Meet and Facebook Live. And in case you want to download this, and yesterday also we released a poster. So in case it's freely available on our website, you can easily download it.
This is,
Thank you.
this we have prepared this design.
Kulshrestha ji, you have to place it in one of the corridors of the school.
Yes, corridor खुल जाएगा. Yes. After opening, definitely.
हाँ, इसको अच्छी तरह से
This one.
print करके
Like this.
लगाना है.
Really.
Wow, this is nice.
You guys have to use
Who's made this? And my compliments.
Okay.
Yeah, my
Very good,
compliment
very
too. Yeah.
Thank you, Swati. Thank you all participants,
Thank you.
panelists, all the audience. And it was nice experience and knowledge as well as meeting, interacting with all these unknown faces also. Now at least they know JNU, JNU-ENVIS, SES, meeting. And so I hope to meet all once again.
to us, Dr. Areendran. He's a frequent visitor to us. He has like many times. We need
Yeah,
to put Dr. Ramesh.
I will come. I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
We have to start tiger research basically.
Yeah, let's do it. I think tiger research. Why not? I would say there's a lot of scopes to do. Linking the landscape ecology and tiger.
To have a course on wildlife or wildlife conservation or
Yes.
so that
Professor Joshi, please face of the matter, isn't it? Wildlife something
yes.
in the name of tiger, at least grant is there, lot of grant is there.
Yeah, of course, a lot of tiger brings money. Okay. So,
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thanks to both of you for coming.
Thanks to you. Nice to see all of you. Thanks,
Thanks.
everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.